Well, aloha, Mr. White Whale. Yay.
Hello.
Buddy, nice to see you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Here's to much stupidity.
Mm, a lot of stupidity.
Tom, what hot sauce are you going to be drinking today?
I will be drinking our lemon hello.
Oh, nice. Hold it nice and close to the camera so we can see the label of that one. Tell us a little bit about this hot sauce. What's in it? What's its heat level? What chilies are going on there?
Well, it's based on the Madame Jeannette, which is a citrusy habanero-like pepper. Then the flavor is all about lemon, basically, supported by ginger, a little bit of garlic, turmeric. And it goes great with like fish and chicken and stuff like that. But I think the heat level for me is nice when you put it on something. If you were to drink it straight from the bottle, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die.
Yes, sir. And so, young man, that sauce you've got there today, is that the only sauce you produce, or do you produce other hot sauces?
Well, I produce other hot sauces. I don't sell them yet. I have like this very much into concepts and I'm constantly thinking of new stuff, but I never stick to it enough to really perfect it, which is unfortunate because I'm kind of a perfectionist in that sense.
Well, so what's in the pipeline for White Whale then? We have this delicious sauce you told us about today. So give us an idea of some of the other wonderful creations in your head.
I think I'm close with one, don't really have a name yet, but based on the mole sauce from, pretty sure I'm not pronouncing this right, from Pujo in Mexico City. They have a mole where they constantly, I think it's like 1400 days old at this point. So they constantly keep recreating the batch. So I was thinking about dehydrating the pulp and putting it into the next batch and in the same sense, keep this sauce going for I don't know how long. So there's
Interesting idea, dude. That sounds delicious. For those of you who don't know out there, Tom, tell them what's mole.
Sorry?
Mole. They may not know what the mole is. Tell them.
If I'm understanding correctly, it literally just means sauce. And well, it's a sauce based on dehydrated peppers mostly, used in Mexican cuisine. Usually it's like a gravy over chicken or meat.
It's a standard in Mexico. If you go in the shops there, it's everywhere. There's no Mexican home without it. Along with the chipotle, which is a smoked, normally jalapeno, but there's one or two other chilies they use. But along with the chipotle, you could call it the most standard Mexican kind of, as the Germans would say, Lebensmittel, as a life basic food. Yeah. Were you ever in Mexico?
No. I just like watch.
Go. Mexico is great.
I'm really gonna go as soon as I can.
I love it.
Yeah,
I can strongly recommend when you're in Mexico that you might go to the Day of the Dead. That shit was amazing. That's like everyone's shooting fireworks everywhere in small streets, basically at each other. And your job is to burn effigies of Judas Iscariot, who's represented normally by like a big paper mache frog or cow or some shit like that. And it's covered normally with all kinds of rockets and explosives. And then it's a huge thing, many people carrying it. And then you got everyone walking along these narrow streets with that. And then they light all of the fireworks and they start bouncing around all the streets. I have several epic burns on my body from our Day of the Dead experience. It's very good fun. It was too, I have to say. And I'm a lover of the Netherlands as well, man. I miss it. When I was a young man, I visited the Netherlands, British, in the 90s. Amsterdam was like this heaven as a teenager, 13, 14, 15 years old. And there was naked women in windows and there was drugs coming out of my ears. It was a joy. And I think in those timeframes, I probably visited over a period of 10 years, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And I think it took me 6 or 7 years before I realized that there was things to see outside of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And then I discovered how interesting it is over there. For example, first place I ever discovered when I decided to leave Amsterdam was islands, I think in the north, 3 of them, Texel, Bexel, and another one whose name I've forgotten. You know the name of the other one?
Monaco?
Maybe so, yeah. And I was fucking amazed to discover that Amsterdam is in fact like a bubble, you know, a kind of multi-culti, insane tourism bubble. And the rest of the Netherlands is a much, much more conservative place in comparison.
Definitely.
I'm not sure
like
about, yeah,
almost,
sorry.
Yeah, like a world city compared to the rest of the Netherlands, which is a pretty tiny country. But yeah.
How do you guys as Dutch people feel about the Amsterdam situation? I mean, I know from visiting with friends, I was there not long ago with an American friend of mine, a very big guy, heavy guy. And I remember walking up the street and him pulling a hash pipe out of his pocket and smoking it as we were walking up Damrak in Amsterdam. And I said to him, for fuck's sake, show a bit of respect to these people here. They're kind enough to give you shops where you can smoke your weed inside of. Don't piss on the law and smoke it on the streets, yeah? As a tourist in the Netherlands, I'm very aware of the bad behavior of tourists. And I guess you guys must get pissed with that stuff, oh?
Well, I personally don't enjoy Amsterdam as much, but the times I've been there is, yeah, you get kind of annoyed with the bachelor parties and the screaming and the day drinking. And I can imagine if you're living there, you know, you're traveling to work, getting your groceries, it can be kind of annoying. But on the other part of Amsterdam, right? So.
No, that's true. That's true. But I must say, as I'm an old man now these days, I'm spending more time in Nijmegen and Rotterdam and Den Haag a lot more. Den Haag was the beginning of a life phase for me when I discovered that I wasn't a psychopath. Was specifically because of Den Haag, yeah. I was about 15 years old, yeah, maybe 16. And so I've always been involved since my late teenage years in the fetish world, you know? I've been fetish modeling and visiting fetish events in Belgium, Netherlands, Australia, America, and so on, you know? But before I was 15, I didn't know that there was such a thing as fetishism. I just thought that I was some kind of psychopath, was what I thought, because I found myself having sort of sexually interesting thoughts involving bondage and S&M and stuff. And I didn't really know that was a sexual preference. So I just assumed, all right, I'm going to grow up to be a serial killer and spend the rest of my life in prison. That was my assumption when I was a kid. And when I was about 15, a friend of mine gave me a video, and it was an S&M video. It was a bondage S&M video. And I had never seen anything like it in my life. And my first reaction was, oh my God, this is normal. I don't have to murder anyone or go to prison for the rest of my life. Do you know what I mean? I can go and find these people. We can do this. And I don't have to live the life of a serial killer. Amazing. And so I got to the end of the video, and the video said that it was produced in a place called Club Dormer, and it had an address, Asterstraat, Den Haag. Yeah. So I went, fuck, I have no idea where is Den Haag, which country it's in or anything, but for fuck's sake, I am going there, was my reaction. And so I immediately did some research. It was pre-internet days. That was hard to do. And I found out where it was, and I got myself a ferry, and I went over there, and I found Asterstraat, and that was very difficult because, yeah, there was no internet, you know, and I had no Dutch and stuff. So luckily, Dutch people are highly intelligent, well-trained individuals, and they can speak English, and so they were able to direct me to the bondage dungeon, the 15-year-old that I was, and I went there, and for the first time, very nervously in my life, I got myself involved in some bondage and sadomasochism, yeah? And there was a beautiful woman. She was gorgeous, blonde lady she was. And she was minimum 30, so double my age. Yeah. And okay, I'll tell you something that I shouldn't really say, which is this. So now I know this isn't normal. Yeah. At the time, I had no idea. But when we did our thing, she asked me not to wear a condom. Not. Yeah. Right. And I just didn't wear a condom, you know, fair enough. And I never thought about that. And as I got older and I got involved in more S&M and bondage things, I realized it was really unusual for people in their job that you have if you work in an S&M place, really unusual for them not to use protection during sex. And I wondered why. And I discovered the reason a couple of years later. A couple of years later, I was in Rotterdam and I was in a porno shop, yeah? And I found the Club Doma collection in the porno shop from Club Doma in Asterstraat, including a video of me. They had videoed the session, yep, that's right, and they released it commercially on video under the title Young Master's First Slave Girl. Believe it or not. And so that was when I accidentally became a porn star without realizing it. So that goes back a few fucking years. But yeah, that was the first time I left Amsterdam, you know, in the Netherlands, and I went to other places. And then after that, I went up to the islands, and then I was in Rotterdam, Nijmegen. It was great, man. What would you say, as a Dutch guy, tell our people here, our lovely people who might come to Europe or might be in Europe and fancy to go to the Netherlands. So where should they go that isn't Amsterdam, and what should they do there?
You're really asking someone who isn't the biggest fan of his home country. It's a really nice country. It has the same charm as the Amsterdam layout, the nice buildings, the moats, less touristy. A lot of stuff to see as well. So you kind of get the feeling of Amsterdam without the, you know, the downsides. There's just one thing. It's basically Dutch Venice. It's a little village where they don't have roads, but you can only get there by boat or by bike, I think. The name, I can't think of it, unfortunately. But that's a nice place to visit, I guess, if you find out which place. Definitely check out the nature too, because we're such a low-lying country. We pumped up a lot of water to create more space for us. We have a very unique nature, I think.
So, I mean, in terms of the natural things that you might find around, talk to me about Dutch nature. We're based in Bavaria. And so in Bavaria, in Germany, what you're talking about is the overpowering surrounding of green and forest and all kinds of crazy shit like that. It's very nice, very hilly, yeah, very pretty indeed. And it looks a lot like where I come from, which is the southeast of England. It's also similar, you know. But yeah, you're talking forests, and we got some wild pigs in the forest. Better run away. If they have babies with them, they will fuck you up. And you're talking about beautiful kind of lakes and so on you're finding in the deep forest and so on. What about over there in the Netherlands? What kind of nature can the people expect to find?
Well, we're very flat, so no hills whatsoever, just flatness. Marshes, big swamp we have here. So it's kind of nice to visit. What's the word? You know, we have those big plains of lavender. What's it called again? It's just basically big fields of low grass.
Fields of lavender.
Yeah, sort of. But there's a name for that type of terrain, which again, I don't know the English word for it, but it's heide in Dutch. It's really nice, a lot of wind. We have beautiful beaches, of course. Not the kind of, you know, pristine water and sandy beaches, but they're really nice.
Okay.
Of course, we got some forest too, but nothing compared to Germany or because I think we're the most densely populated country of Europe, if not even greater. But
The Netherlands is the most densely populated country in Europe, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Uh-huh. But you seem to be relatively politically sensible over there. Normally, you find in densely populated countries, you find stupidity in the politics, populism, right-wing politics. Oh, I guess actually you guys have got, what's his name? Geert Wilders over there, haven't you?
Yeah. Actually, I think in the latest election, a lot of people leaned right because of the populistic ideas and no more immigrants, take our country back.
To what extent would you say? I mean, here in Germany, we see a big movement to the right politically. Conservatism and populism is what you see. I'd say it's related to employment. It's because the employment, there's some issues with it coming over the last few years. And so when you have employment problems, hey presto, you have the perfect place for right-wing fucking idiots to be right-wing fucking idiots, of course. But I mean, what would you say is the reason for it in the Netherlands?
It's a bit the same thing, but mostly because I think we had a sort of left-leaning party leader now for, I think he's going to be re-elected again for 15 years, basically. So people are getting kind of sick and tired of it. And it's always, you know, the economy is going a bit bad with Corona, and, you know, people start leaning to the right. Because I
fucking saw your country on fire a few weeks ago because of this Corona stuff. That was reported in the media, certainly outside of the Netherlands, really dramatically. As far as what I understood, it was like riots in the streets, burning, and on a really large scale. What?
I think Eindhoven was one of the first cities to really get that rioting, where they were just looting grocery stores and stuff like that just for no reason. I think people are getting like really some pent-up anger sitting inside, and they need to like express it some way. Unfortunately, to do it like this.
It's a shame, isn't it? But then I guess violent response to the situation you find yourself in is something which is a disease we find in almost all countries. Luckily, here in Germany, it's been quite minimal, although not long ago, we had all of these anti-corona people alongside all of the right-wing political people running in the parliament here, or trying to overrun the parliament, much like happened in the Capitol building in the US. Remember? Well, January 6th this year, I think that was it? Yes, it was. But like, fuck, man. And the rest of the less informed people around the world, including a lot of people I know, were surprised because in their mind they go, how is it everyone's stoned but so angry at the same time? It's a stereotypical image. But then that's a question I have to ask, because we do a lot of work in cannabis activism. Yeah? And of course, now we've got rolling legalization going out across the world. It's a rarity now not to be legalized in some way. Myself, I'm a cannabis patient here in Germany, even though we have very regressive cannabis laws in Germany, which will be changed as, you know, civilization moves forwards. But I wonder about your response as a Dutch guy to it, because you grew up in a situation where there was no taboo around that shit, and you got to watch idiotic tourists doing it stupidly and pass. I would guess that your judgment was not good when you saw that shit. So, I mean, how does it work as a Dutch guy, your relationship with weed? For example, when you're a little kid, yeah? For us, it was first alcohol. We got our hands on alcohol. It was a few years before we got our hands on any drugs or anything. So, I mean, when you kick off as a little kid there, is it then weed that you go to first of all before the alcohol?
Actually, I think here in the Netherlands, we had back then, you could start drinking at 16. So, and people, at least my family, was very open about it. So I had my first sip when I was 12. And so alcohol is pretty, you know, a socially accepted drug. So I think a lot of kids still, you know, start with alcohol first. But yeah, weed is like one day away. It's so easy to get, but doing it, and it's sort of socially accepted. But I think it depends on which circles you're hanging out, because some people are still against weed and still think that it will lead to the harder drugs, et cetera, et cetera. But I personally think it should be legalized.
Well, I mean, it is. Well, it's not legalized where you guys are. It's gray area, isn't it? It's decriminalized. If I remember correctly, I'm quoting Pulp Fiction right here. If I remember correctly, it's legal to own it. It's legal to sell it if you're a shop, but it's not legal to buy it from anyone if you're a shop. What?
Exactly.
Insanity.
You can't grow it either. I
And
think
you
can
can't
have
grow it either.
3 plants or something. So it just has to magically appear in the coffee shop, yeah.
So you've got a 3-plant limit on what you can grow over there, basically.
Yeah.
As a person, individual. So how prevalent is weed growing over there? I mean, here where I'm living, it's very, very conservative, yeah? And it's extremely, backwards in the way it views cannabis. But despite that, I would say every 3rd street, maybe, roundabout, I'm guessing numbers here, but I guess around every 3rd street here has a house growing weed in that street. You know, a guy with a box in his house or something like that. Maybe like 1 per 3 streets, 4 streets. When you move away from the more right-wing, more conservative areas like Bavaria, then you get to Berlin and stuff, or Hamburg or Cologne, then I think the numbers are higher than that. But I mean, so amongst your circle of friends, is it generally normal to grow their own weed or not really?
Yeah. When I was growing up, I was living in a different area, and I think a lot of people had like 1 plant, either just for fun, like to smoke it. But there's also a whole lot of, you know, the criminal activity where they have like their entire attic filled with plants. And I think our area of the Netherlands is actually the highest crime rate, with ecstasy and drug labs everywhere. But I think every 3rd street has an actual illegal weed plantation here.
So you're talking about commercial weed plantation, illegal commercial weed plantation, big scale.
Like the entire area of the house filled with weed plants and stuff. Yeah.
And how does it work then? What do you call it? With the consumption wise over there? Because if you go to like Spain, which now has coffee shops, yeah, you find that over there, the consumption has gone very much in the same direction as the USA and Canada, in the moment things touch on legality, then the market gets widened. And when the market's widened, people then have access to a different variety of things, not just a bunch of weed and maybe some hash, but also good quality shatter, good quality glass and wax, butane waxes, ether waxes, and so on. And then you find when you head to like Barcelona and you go to the coffee shops there, that mainly you've got a very large consumption going on of the healthier cannabis products. So you're talking about strong edibles, and you're talking about vaporizing concentrates. But I mean, in the Netherlands, is that also equally so? Or would it be more kind of exotic to be around waxes and shatters and stuff?
Well, I kind of stopped smoking weed like 10 years ago, so I'm not familiar with the whole scene anymore. But back then it's just hashish and weed. That's it. And I think if you're lucky, you could find some scuff or some resin, but maybe some more hardcore people will make their own stuff, but they don't sell it in shops here. I think some edibles.
Why
maybe.
did you stop smoking weed? What was your reason?
It didn't do anything for me anymore. It actually sort of gave me anxiety a little bit when I was smoking weed, but I was doing it very obsessively. Like the first thing in the morning, the last thing I do during the day. And it was just like, basically I've been stoned for 6 years straight. And it was like, yeah, okay, this is not fun anymore. And I was the kind of person who sit on the couch all day and do nothing.
And this is not the best person to be stoned. Absolutely not. No, that's the problem with it. Well, it's nice to see that you've brought your obsession into the world of hot sauces, my friend. And the rest of you out there, you got to check out this guy's sauces, all right? And so that means you have to have a check on these links you can see on the screen. And you are going to be able, I think I'm going to link it. Yeah, it's going to be where it is. And you are going to be able to See, and buy, I recommend you buy lots and lots of white whale hot sauces. Also, Tom, thank you for your time, sir. I said ciao. From